I will tell you about some mistakes that students usually make when they learn English. One common mistake is the use of the auxiliary verbs. These are very important in English, because by change the auxiliary verbs, you can change the whole sentence or the whole tenses. For example, you say, "Do you work here?" And that's present simple, but you can change each time. Like, did you work here? Did you work here? The simple present tense can be changed to simple past tense. Only by change the auxiliary, did you work here? And it will become simple past now. I think it's not difficult. So by change do to did, I change the sentence from the present, simple present to simple past. Three main auxiliary verbs in English are do, be, and have. They are extremely, and mastering them will help you a lot in expressing yourself more confidently. The great news is that their use is consistent. For example, we use do for simple sentence or simple tenses. Do you live here? Did for past tense. Did you have a breakfast? And before continuous form and passive voice, like I'm working, she was sleeping. This was painted by Sarah. Finally, we use have for perfect tense, for example. Like, they have been married for 10 years. They have married for 10 years. Or we had seen that film before. Of course, there are more auxiliaries, but these here are the most important to remember that. Another common mistake is when using the wrong preposition. That's very common, I think. The English language contains a whopping 150 prepositions, or even more by some estimates. So it's no surprise that learners often use the wrong one. That's understandable, I think. Preposition with overlapping meanings or different uses, such as in, at, and on, are the ones that are the most often used incorrectly. The best way to learn how to use them is by using them in a real life. Listen to the real life conversation and get used to do it. Memorizing the rules is good, but it doesn't work for everyone because it's very, very difficult. And there are a lot of exceptions for these rules. So listen, repeat, and use it every day. Another common mistake students usually make is mixing up closely related to adjective. English has many adjectives that are similar in both meaning and form. I'm sure you know that. They are very common, I think, such as bored, boring, or interested, interesting, and many other words. Given that these pairs vary by only a couple of letters, it's easy to accidentally how to use them properly. Simple, if you are describing someone's feeling, then you will use ID. For example, I'm bored. Martha was excited. And if you are describing the characteristic of the event, then you would use info. For example, this book is interesting. or that concert was amazing. If you memorize this rule, and it will be easy for you to know how to use this adjective. Or another one, another mistake is forgetting about gender specific pronouns. In many languages, object pronouns like him or her and possessive pronouns like his or hers are the same. And for example, in Spanish, his book and her book are both translated as shoe brew, for example. Therefore, remembering that these pronouns in English take on genders can be taxes for some students. Often learners will use the masculine forms, which is typically taught as the default form. So the only thing here to tell you is the careful when using object pronouns and possessive pronouns. Another typical mistake is let me see. Oh, the word order in questions. Asking questions and giving answers are the basic of a great conversation in any languages. But while learning English, a lot of English learners translate their questions from their own language. I think that it's mistakes, and the other is often wrong. In some cases, they just omit the auxiliary verbs, which are very important in English questions. That's a terrible but common mistakes. As I check some students' assessment or homework, I often see these mistakes, like this one. For example, you like to know more about my new project? Or why you not invite me? Great news! There is a fixed structure for you to learn and use for any questions. But the most of the things is that how to learn English effectively every time and every day, every minute you take. It's called question word. What, why, when, where, how, and etc. And auxiliary verb like do or be or have. For example, especially for subject like you, he, she, it. For infinitive like work, go, sleep, invite. For example, where did you go last night? Oh, that's very interesting. I think that this is enough for you. Thank you very much for watching this video. Bye-bye.